Hi, my name is Krista Miller, and this is my Ethical Dilemma presentation. Let's start with a little bit of background information. Approximately 1 year ago, my school was approached by a MOOC. And for those of you who don't know, MOOC is an acronym and it stands for Massive Online Open Courseware. And what MOOCs do is they offer free online classes to anyone with a desire to learn as well as an internet connection. So the MOOC had this great idea. They said, why doesn't your school pilot our online classes as an opportunity for high school students to get credits through this particular website? So after some vetting, we said, sure, we would be happy to do that. Fast forward now to this past January, we have about 25 to 30 students who are enrolled in an online class offered through this MOOC. And this particular class, we had said, in order to get credit for it on the final exam, you had to get a 13 out of 16 or higher. It had become standard practice to offer these classes to the students for an alternative credit. The teacher who was facilitating this class noticed that when one of the students was taking her online final, she was exhibiting some bizarre behavior. She appeared to be accessing previously stored exam answers by scrolling through her calculator. So the teacher switched out the calculator and had the student finish. And while the student did well on the exam, the dilemma became that it seemed like the answers on the MOOC's final were probably compromised. If this particular student had access to the answers, then chances were other students did as well. And this was the way that we were determining, or the school was determining, whether or not the students would receive credit for the course. So the underlying issue really was whether or not to change the course policy and requirements in the middle of the term in order to try to preserve the integrity of the credit that was being offered. And we had communicated these expectations to the students and the parents, and so there were really a lot of different pieces that went into making this decision. Include the following: administrators, who had said this was a good idea and we should pursue this credit-bearing option; the students, because the students were getting credit for a class that realistically they may not be learning a whole lot for; the parents had been communicated with that these were the course policies; and the teacher, because if the course final exam wasn't valid, then the teacher would be required to create a new final exam that was valid, as well as there were some issues in maintaining the integrity of the class in conjunction with other classes being offered. Partnerships and higher ed organizations are expecting students to come out of the school with knowledge related to the credit they were being given, but then the MOOC also potentially could be affected. So in terms of making the decision, there were a couple different factors that were thought about. The course policy communicated had been at least 13 out of 16 on the final exam had to be received in order to get credit for the course. But then also, now we are thinking, if one student has access to the final exam, others quite possibly do as well, which is concerning. But if we change the requirements in the middle of the term and now make the students take a paper exam as well as the online exam, we've changed the course policy that had been communicated to parents. But if we didn't change the policy, we were potentially compromising the integrity of the credit and the school. So the decision that was made was that the teacher would create a new final exam similar to the MOOC's final, but different enough to validate the test results. What that would allow us to do is to maintain the integrity of the school as well as the credit. So some of the things that we could have done were not acknowledging the cheating and then just move on. We could have allowed students to stay enrolled in the course and finish out the term as is without having the paper final and then no longer offer the course. Or we could change the requirements midterm and leave the teacher and administration open to criticism, but maintain integrity of the credit in the school. In my perspective, I feel like the administrators made the correct decision. I feel like maintaining the integrity of the school and the credit, even if it means changing your policy midterm, is more important than eventually issuing a credit you wish you wouldn't have and losing some of the respect and the integrity of the overall system. Even though we changed the course's requirements and the course policy midterm, what we did is we maintained the integrity of the school and the credit. I believe this is the correct decision to make in the long run because it protects the integrity of the institution and the leadership's integrity, even in the face of potential criticism. Thank you for listening.